Alright guys, so just I think it was actually just yesterday. It may have been 2 days ago technically because of when it actually hit, and it's like 4 a.m. right now. So, but about a day ago, maybe a little bit more than 24 hours ago, I posted a Shinra deck video, but I only really played like mostly decks that aren't really that good. So here I've got a deck profile against decks that kind of stand a chance. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So this one's versus Ancient Gears. It's probably the deck that I had the least issues with of all of them. Most of the rest of the decks that I've saved from today, my duels, are much better than Ancient Gear. No hate on Ancient Gears, but I mean, I really don't feel like the actual dedicated Ancient Gear deck is worth anybody's time, in all honesty. And so here comes the Stoolette, gonna check 5. You can already see I hit the Leaflo and the Peas and a Dandelion, so that's a really, really good hit with Stoolette. Summon the Dandelion, pop something with Leaflo, and get tokens. So overall, I would say that was a pretty heavy plus. And then Peak checks my top, and it's just a space. Here comes the Knight, gonna check the top. It's a Lone Fire Blossom, awesome. Put it in the grave. I'm only playing one Knight now. Use the Peak to put the tree on top of the deck. You guys may or may not remember the tree if you if you didn't watch my previous Shinra video. Can't say I blame you. It was 27 minutes long, but the tree is really good. When he mills, I get to rearrange the top 3 cards of my deck. So this time, obviously, I rearranged it and put the Transmigration Prophecy in there, and that's a card that I added that's been helping me a lot. You can use it both defensively and offensively, and it reloads your toolbox. So those are all really good things. So like here, I put back both my Leaflos because I'd already used them. I only play the 2 because I'm now up to 2 Orcs, and Orc lets you recycle your guys. So the only Shinra I'm actually playing 3 of right now is Stoolette because of the check 5 is really, really good. And it's also an MST, which as it turns out is worth having. And I'm actually going to win this next turn. So here we go. Let's change the top deck to the Stoolette. Trigger the Stoolette with the tree, get my draw, pop that, run over his dude, and then that's game. And next, we've got one versus Bujin. I'd say this was a pretty good game. The guy definitely did not draw poorly like the previous game. I'd say, in fact, it's actually a pretty good hand. And I still whooped him. So, fun for everyone. Yeah, as long as everyone is me and people who like Shinra. So, I really don't like Mikazuchi. I played Fujin before they came out, kind of the same way I'm playing Shinra now, and I like them a lot. But I don't like Mikazuchi. I wouldn't play it, or if I did play it, I'd only play one. And I know that's controversial, too, because some people think it's a mandatory 3, or at very least 2, but I would only play one Mikazuchi. There's that Rose Whip again. Rose Whip is like my new favorite tech. Rose Whip goes so hard against spell and trap heavy decks. Miracle Fertilizer is so good in this deck. Get that tree, trigger the Shlulet, pop his trap stun, which, I mean, he chains it, and now I can't use my Transmigration this turn, but it was well worth it to have these traps the next turn, and that really didn't bother me. There's a point later at which I realized I really should have saved the Transmigration Prophecy, because you'll see I use it probably before I should have, but I wanted my Stoolets back, so I roar him so he can't crane me, and then break him through during the end phase. I'm going to check the top deck with the Peak, but first I'm going to put both the Stoolets back and hope that I mill one. And I mill the Orc and put a card on top of my deck, which is also fine. Draw the Copy Plant, use the peak to put the leaf low on top of the deck and trigger it with the tree. Get my draw. And I drew Miracle Fertilizer, so that's obviously a really good draw. So Miracle Fertilizer picks up Copy Plant copies the tree, and here comes Shinra, High Protector Guy. And I'm using to put the Mikazuchi on the bottom of the deck. Watch this top deck beast, get that hair, flip up sword, manifesting War God. That's actually like a pretty good draw. Well, since he had the sword. Runs over my guys with the sword. It's okay. And my favorite thing about the fertilizer is normally if the thing you summon with it leaves the field, it kills itself. But XYZing is not actually considering leaving the field, even though the card is no longer on the field. I know, really weird, but it's been like that ever since the XYZ mechanic was introduced, and that's just how it's going to be. So now, I'm about to get a whooping, not gonna lie, but I'll bring it back. And he didn't attack, so that works out. And now he plays right into my hands, which I did not think he was going to do. I go ahead and check the top of both the trees. I think I missed twice, but there's no reason not to check. I make number 107, use his effect, hoping that he'll use the crane, and he does, and I get the extra 1,000 attack and the extra attack. And from there, the game is definitely tilted in my favor. Because I would say that this guy's not having a very good time right now. Here comes Susano. He's going to pop my 107, but I feel like if he was smart, he would have either popped my fertilizer or my peak. I guess he just didn't have another option to pop the 107, so he really needed to deal with the more immediate threat. Peak checks, gets the terraforming, put it back on the bottom, which is nice, so I didn't have to draw it. Draw Fragrant Storm, not that exciting. I'm only playing 1 now. I might bring it down to 0, but we'll see. And then the tree runs that over, of course. Here comes Mikazuchi. Main phase 2, set that Fragrant Storm as a bluff. Black Garden. And he just scoops because I guess he felt like there was nothing that he could do from here, and that was probably true, because next turn I would have summoned my other tree, and etc. So let's try this. Here I've got one versus Chainburn. Oh, and I'm glad that I've gotten through more duels today. I feel like last time, part of the reason the video took so long is the duels were going really, really slow. Not the DevPro replays are exactly fast, but at least they're better than watching Dueling Network games. Those are awful. So, here's the Chainburn guy. And the tree rearranged top of my deck. And he just plays a bunch of draw cards right now, so well, he does burn me a little bit with the Secret Barrel and the Chain Strike, but I'm not really too worried about that, in all honesty. And he misplays next turn. As you can see, he's got the 1 day, and I think you guys already know the misplay right away once you see the 1 day, because it's a very common misplay in Chainburn. Plays the 1 day. I check my top, not a plant, and during my turn, he plays all those burn traps, and of course, they don't burn me because we're under 1 day of peace. So clearly he didn't really think that one out. And once again, here comes my favorite tech, Naturia Rose Whip. Rose Whip! Son! If you don't know the Rose Whip's effect, it says your opponent can only activate 1 spell or trap per turn. So obviously, the card's pretty good against Chainburn, I would say, don't you think? I was definitely afraid of him drawing like a lava golem. Oh, and then in the end phase, Peak basically gives me an extra MST with the Stoulette, and I can pulse one of the tokens so I can get my Spore out as a level 4, make a Stardust Dragon, drop my Stoulette to put the Orc on top of the deck, and mill the Orc with Leaflow, and put the Stoulette back on top of the deck, so I can pop another card in the main phase. And then he threat roared me, which I thought was really dumb, because we were under 1 day, and I don't really feel like this guy was that good, but whatever. It is what it is. Change my top deck to the Orc again. Flip the Stoulette. Check 5. My favorite thing about this deck definitely is that it has sort of a controlled mill aspect to it. So you don't have you don't have the same problem with Lightsworns where you can't play a whole lot of spells and traps as support because you won't mill those spells and traps in this deck unless you're teching non-Shinra cards, which I don't really think is very necessary. Some people are playing cards like Archfiend's Oath and etc., but there's no need. So I definitely thought I was going to lose when I saw this opening hand, and I feel like that was a spoiler with me saying that, but you guys already know I mostly upload wins. In my defense, it's because I mostly win. And that's not even just an egotistical thing that I'm saying. It's true. Like, I win more than I lose. Um, which I think is true for most skilled duelists. So here, compulsory evac device really shuts him down a bit. Well, I mean, it doesn't shut him down, but keeping an Exodia player out of their extra draws is absolutely crucial. And then here I draw the Mark of the Rose, and I'm still not feeling very good about this. And check 3 with this, and luckily I milled the Stoulette and got to pop as appropriate, which ultimately did not mean much. Set 2, let him go. I'm not really feeling very good about this right now, but luckily I think that him missing out on that extra draw and all the consequent other extra draws that he would have gotten from the library on the first turn really helped me out. And of course, I didn't know that his hand was 2 arms, so that's not very good either. Check 3, miss 3, use the Mark of the Rose to take his thing, then play the Fragrant Storm to get the 3rd spell counter, and get my draw, and tribute for a Tree Fender, and mill 3 again. And that was Peas, Dandelion, and Rose Whip. So I go ahead and summon the Rose Whip, and because I thought that he had 2 draw cards in his hand, and I figured that Rose Whip would keep him from playing more than 1 spell or trap per turn, which basically would mean, of course, you pretty much win against Exodia if they can only play 1 spell or trap per turn, but he just scooped because he didn't stand a chance anyways. Here's Fire Fists. This was definitely a pretty good game. I'd say that my opening hand was pretty good, and I mean, 6 cents, Mirror Force, and a Stoulette right there alone is a pretty good combo, and I've got 2 Miracle Fertilizers for hopefully milling well with the Stoulette. But this hand was really contingent on either hitting 6 cents or milling really well with Stoulette, or milling really well with 6 cents. So I would say there's a lot of contingent scenarios that could be good. So if you didn't notice, he Gyoko'd down my Mirror Force, and I get a really good hit with this. I hit Copy Plant, Dandelion, and the Peacekeeper, which for some reason the Dandelion and the Peacekeeper, they love each other. Don't know why. They play nice. Oh no, he Gyoko'd down my 6 cents. Later in the game, he's going to Gyoko down my Mirror Force though. So here I copy this, and I make a Vulcan, and pick up my Vulcan to pick up his Gyoko, because I want to try 6 cents. And it was a good decision, because I roll a 5. Or, I mean, technically he rolled the 5, because the card says your opponent mills, or rolls rather. And I put the Stoulette on top of my deck, so that I can mill it with Peek in the end phase, and pop one of his spells or traps. He locks down my Mirror Force, and I break through his Dragon, and he did not play his set Tenkin to keep me from negating it, but that would make sense, because Tenkin negates it as well. What is more mysterious is he didn't play the Lance that he had in his hand, but I guess he didn't really care about setting the spell or trap that much. And later having that Lance helps him out, so here's that Mill Stoulette. I'm more concerned about his face downs than the fact that his Gyoko is locking down my Mirror Force, so I hit a face down. And then I milled the Tree Fender Orc and put the tree on top of my deck so that I can mill it. And I hit the tree and the Tree Fender Orc, which is amazing. Put the Stoulette on top of my deck with the Tree Fender Orc and check my top 3 with the tree. So the tree goes off, and I mill the Stoulette that I put on top, and then draw a crane because that's what I put next with the tree when I milled it. And I kill that, and my main concern was just I didn't want him using the battle traps for me to lose my orc, and I did not have that issue, so well done, Roland. And he dark holes me, and I lose both my miracle fertilizers, so that definitely hurt. And I try to bottomless the gorilla, but doesn't let me. And then he tries to pop my transmigration prophecy, and I put 2 stoolettes back in my deck, which is definitely nice because having a lot of mystical space typhoons against fire fists is good, or I would say that it is. So rearrange my top 3, and of course I knew I was going to draw that rose whip. I wanted to because well, you get the idea. I need to make peak work. Make the Malias with crane, get the tree, mill the leaf low that I knew was on top, and poke him for 17. Get deep risen for no damage, rather. Change my top deck to the Stoolette again, and at this point my card advantage is getting pretty overwhelming. And he drew the Tensu, passed, I pop his thing, and he scooped it up, and I've got one more game for you guys. I know this video is getting pretty long, I didn't really want it to get this long, but I think these are much better quality duels than the last one. Now this is definitely a very unorthodox Lightsworn build, but I would not say that it is bad because I didn't really get a chance to see it. But now I'm seeing he's still got 39 cards left in his deck with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cards accounted for, meaning he was playing a 49 card deck. But at the same time, he was playing Chaos Necromancer, so clearly his strategy is a kind of monster heavy one, with trying to get the big Necromancers. But that didn't work for him, obviously. Thank goodness. Peak pops at BLS, like, I don't even care. Well, technically Leaflow does, but Peak facilitated it. Yeah. Put the tree on top of the deck, but turn the Leaflow to defense, which was a misplay. So the Leaflow gets shuffled in, and then I do not hit the tree. But that's okay, because now I have an extra Leaflow, which comes in handy later. So all's well that ends well. Set the Stoolette and the threat, and of course he would shuffle my Stoolette back in, but I threatening roar him. And as you can see, his hand is not very good. Rearrange my top 3 with the tree because I milled it. Get that Lone Fire, ready to go. Fertilizer picks up the tree. Tree pops the back row. Check 5. Good hits. Orc, Leaflow, tree, and a spore. Bring out the spore as a level 6 and synchro for Leo. For some reason, the replay thingy is showing it as a 0-0, but of course Leo has 3100 attack. I don't know if this might cause an error like the one I saw in my last video, but we'll find out soon enough. And as you can see, I'm basically just going ham right now. Okay, so this guy's got Obelisk in hand, so I take back everything I said about his deck. It's not good. But this is still just a play where you get to kind of see. And since the replay thing is messed up on Leo's attack, it didn't subtract the 3100 damage that he did. But should be okay. When I mirror forced him, he scooped. And that's all I got for you guys today. The video is almost 20 minutes long, so I'm going to peace. Rate, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube nonsense, and peace.